that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
Photographs of the inaugural proceedings were intentionally framed in a way, in one particular tweet, to minimize the enormous support that had gathered on the National Mall. No one had numbers because the National Park Service, which controls the National Mall, does not put any out. This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe.
There's no way of knowing how many people were there, but there were definitely more people there than ever before.
First day of Donald Trump's presidency brought more than 600 massive anti-Trump protests around America and the world,
including in Boston, Chicago, Denver, Los Angeles, and overseas in London, Berlin, even down in Sydney, Australia.
Hundreds of women's marches sweep the nation, including here in Wichita.
In Anchorage, thousands turned up yesterday.
More than 5,000 people at the Sister March in downtown Birmingham.
Demonstrators also standing in solidarity as far as Antarctica.
Between 3 and 4 million people marched in what analysts believe may well be the largest protest in U.S. history.
It's been 7 days of Trump power plays, a flurry of presidential executive actions.
I signed an executive order to roll back the burdens of Obamacare. We've issued executive orders to remove wasteful regulations.
President Trump's immigration ban. Protests all across the country, a reaction from around the world after the president signed his executive order late Friday.
Overnight outrage from coast to coast. In Boston, thousands packing the streets. Officers in riot gear in Portland. In Seattle, police pepper spraying an angry crowd. Trump's immigration crackdown. That order signed Friday, leading to instant chaos and confusion at airports at home and around the world. Travelers not allowed to board flights bound for the U.S., some including children detained upon landing.
A federal judge has nullified the president's executive order restricting travel from 7 mostly Muslim countries. It essentially nullifies temporarily the travel ban on those countries.
But for now, anyone headed to the U.S. can continue. This executive order no longer applies, at least for now.
Our top story tonight, a lightning fast fall from grace tonight for President Trump's national security advisor.
Michael Flynn has just resigned after only 1 month on the job. His credibility has been under attack for weeks now, and tonight he admitted he misled the vice president and senior White House staffers.
National Security Advisor Michael Flynn misled the administration about his communications with Russian officials. And now Flynn has called it quits.
After Barack Obama imposed sanctions on Russia for messing with our election, Flynn called the Russian ambassador, discussed the sanctions, and allegedly signaled the Kremlin to expect a reprieve when Trump took office. Is that the White House has known the National Security Advisor lied about his contacts with Russia for weeks. Last month, former acting Attorney General Sally Yates told the Trump administration she believed Flynn had misled senior administration officials and might be vulnerable to Russian blackmail. It's funny because it's treason.
And they hired a big movie star, Arnold Schwarzenegger, to take my place. And we know how that turned out. The ratings went right down the tubes. It's been a total disaster. And Mark will never, ever bet against Trump again. And I want to just pray for Arnold, if we can, for those ratings, okay?
Today that you have the biggest electoral margin since Ronald Reagan with 304 or 306 electoral votes. In fact, President Obama got 365 in 2008.
Well, I'm talking about Republicans.
President Obama 332 and George H.W. Bush 426 when he won as president. So why should Americans trust
Well, no, I was given that information. I don't know. I was just given. We had
security concerns as well tied to Mar-a-Lago. What President Trump calls the winter White House, raised by these Facebook photos showing the president responding to the North Korean missile launch in front of Mar-a-Lago members.
Mar-a-Lago member Richard DeAgazio posting the play-by-play on his Facebook page, writing, "The president receiving the news about the missile incident." And this, holy moly, it was fascinating to watch the flurry of activity at dinner. Wow, the center of the action. Just ask that member who posted these photos from dinner. He also had this one, posing with a military aide, writing, "This is Rick. He carries the football, the nuclear football. Rick is the man."
Donald Trump held his first solo press conference as president.
On the TV, open the newspapers, and I see stories of chaos. Chaos. Yet it is the exact opposite. This administration is running like a fine-tuned machine. You know what uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Are you going to include the CBC, Mr. President, in your conversations with your urban agenda, your inner city agenda, as well as...
Am I going to include
Are you
who?
going to include the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional
Well, I
Hispanic
would.
Caucus,
I tell you what. Do you want to
as
set
well
up
as
the
on
meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No.
Are they friends of
I'm
yours?
just a reporter.
No, set up the meeting.
I know some of them, but I'm sure
Let's
they're
go.
watching
Set up
right
a
now.
meeting. I would love to meet with the Black Caucus. I think it's great, the Congressional Black Caucus. The least anti-Semitic person that you've ever seen in your entire life. Number two, racism. The least racist person. The tone is such hatred. I'm really not a bad person, by the way. No, but the tone is such... I do get good ratings, you have to admit that. The leaks are absolutely real. The news is fake because so much of the news is fake.
Wow. All righty then.